Welcome in to the Red Hawks Coaches Show, the inaugural edition for 2023, and it's going to be a fun ride here with this nationally ranked Red Hawks football team. Coach Tom Matukowicz is here. We'll get a chance to talk with Coach Took, and we've got the offensive and defensive coordinators in the house. Jeremy McDowell, Ricky Kuhn. We have a chance to get you in-depth knowledge of the Red Hawks before they head to Manhattan, Kansas, sweltering Manhattan, Kansas, on Saturday night at 6 o'clock. I want to remind you that in addition to their award-winning wings here at Wings Etc., they have a terrific full menu, and it includes all of their wings, their freshly made burgers, wraps, subs, quesadillas. They have entree, salad, smoked ribs, and much, much more. Their appetizer lineup includes their ultimate nachos and their deep-fried pickle chips. And a reminder, when you walk into Wings, the first thing you notice is all the flat screens. Well, they've got the best sports programming, including the NFL Sunday Ticket. You want to watch an NFL game on Sunday? This is the place. And, of course, on Saturday, you'll be able to watch the Red Hawks and the Kansas State Wildcats. It's Wings, etc., good food, and great times, the home of the Coaches Show. Coach Tom Matukowicz is here. Coach, how are you?
I'm well. It's good to get to game week.
That's what I'm saying. I remember waking up this morning and just thinking game week. I was working on some pregame prep, depth charts, different things like that yesterday, and I said, well, officially it's not game week yet, but it is now.
Totally. You know, we've been working since January, and I think every single football coach in America is just ready to play, and we're no different.
And just the fact that you can hit somebody with a different color jersey and not your jersey.
Yeah, no question. Kids are tired of, talking about the Red Hawks. They're ready to talk about K-State.
All right, before we get into it here, let's talk about where they play their football games. Bill Snyder Family Coliseum there in Manhattan, Kansas. It is supposed to be 103 degrees in terms of just air temperature. I don't know what the heat index is going to be in Manhattan on Saturday. Now, the work week you've got leading up, we're supposed to be in the low 80s here, but then you get to Manhattan, 103 degrees. As a football coach, what can you do in heat like that?
Well, it's just a tough situation. Obviously, you wish it was 103 all week so the guys could get acclimated. But the whole point here is you can't, there's no magic wands. Like the only way to be successful in that type of heat is get used to being in the heat. I don't know if we talked about this, but I changed my whole summer program. We used to go in the morning and avoid the heat. We would start at 6 in the morning and be done by 9 and things like that. And I switched it, and we did all afternoon, all summer long. We were running in those temperatures at 2 and 3. Now, it wasn't a crazy hot summer, but still they got used to it. Last week we had them out there.
Now, last week was extremely hot.
Yeah, and we went in it, and we knew the temperature, so we were trying to acclimate them there. And the point that I make to the players is, we can't make things easier for you. The point is that we need to get you better at doing hard things, and playing in 103 is a hard thing. And so we got to manage all that. We got to be great and detailed all week long with our hydration plans, and we'll probably alter our pregame warm-up because we won't want them out there that long, stuff like that.
So the Red Hawks will enter play on Saturday, ranked 11th in the FCS Coaches Poll, 12th in the Stats Perform Poll, and Athlon Sports has you at number 9. So most people around the country that follow FCS football say this is a top 10 program, or at least very close to being a top 10 program.
Yeah, I think what they're seeing is there's top 10 talent, and I would agree that this is the best roster that I've had in 10 years. The problem is, it's about being a team, and can we take that roster, that talented roster, and turn around and do something with it? You can't win without good players, but you can lose with them. It happens all the time. And we've had our ups and downs. I mean, I would say 2 weeks ago, last year's football team would beat this year's football team by 14.
Wow.
Like, that's the truth. I've had to suspend our captain's program. I've done a bad job leading this team for lots and lots of months. Now, I do believe we're back on track. We're making progress. But, I need to do a better job coaching this team, and they need to do a better job of being coachable. I think, and I'm learning a little bit on this, is like there are some players that I truly love, like that have done so much for this program and have, just great people. But it's true what they say, like love is blind. Like that's why parents have a hard time being a parent, and so I caught myself a lot of times this spring and summer, we're all right, we're going to be all right, and we're not. And we have to just get back to the basics and what great teams do well and try to get better at those things. And I feel like the last week we had a really, really good week. I put them through some challenges and tested them, and, I'm feeling better about where we're at. But, it may take us a little while to catch our stride.
And you're playing a team in Kansas State, the reigning Big 12 champs. Now, just think about this. TCU played in the national championship game. They lost to Kansas State in the Big 12 title game. I mean, that's the kind of talent you're going to be going up against on Saturday.
Yeah, this is I think, feels like the best FBS team we've played in 10 years. They O-line are really, really talented. They're all back. Quarterback's back. That alone is a tough situation.
I think he's on the Maxwell Award watch list entering the season.
Yeah. So, really good team, but this is also our best roster. So we'll just figure out how all that works. But this is what you want it to be, is a great experience for our program, our fans. This is going to be it's sold out. Like, it's going to be a great experience.
That's got to make you feel good, because the season ticket sales are the best they've ever been in the history of the football program.
They have, and give a shout out to I think I saw them earlier, but Nate Savarino and Coach Blackman and TJ, our ticket guy, all those people have done a really good job of working it, getting on the phones, and our fan base has responded. And, we need to prove it to ourselves that we can have a top 10, top 25 program, and that's fan support and game day attendance. We got 4 home games. We got a nationally ranked program. We got, half of a new stadium. I mean, if we can't do it now, then you got to ask yourself, well, can we? So I'm looking forward to those home games, and certainly my goal is to sell all 4 out.
Well, obviously the construction is every day at Houck Stadium. I drove by there specifically on my way to the show today just because I hadn't, when I come to work at 5 in the morning, so it's pretty dark when I'm driving by Houck Stadium on Broadway. So I want to get another look at it. I've been looking at it every couple of weeks. Boy, it's come a long way. It's looking really sharp. I know they've got some things to do on the facade, but new turf, for those who didn't know, brand new turf, the new seating. What are your thoughts, what you're seeing over at Houck Stadium?
Well, we've been on the turf, and we're going to be on it every day this week. And so our players love it, which is the most important thing. And it's kind of crazy just how bright it is. I think you got used to the red or being pink, a little bit for several years. But it is a beautiful surface. It feels good. We haven't had any injuries on it, and so very happy with that. I haven't spent much time in the stadium outside. It's, looks beautiful, and it's not – like if you look at SIU's and you say, well, that's a nice stadium, but, it is all aluminum.
Everything
is aluminum.
Yep.
And, that's like what high schools do. Not that that's bad or anything, but ours isn't. Like Brady and our administration has done a good job of making it more of a Division I stadium where it is concrete throughout. Not totally concrete, but it is a structure that's built to last.
Boy, and, anybody that's going to be walking into Houck for that first game against Lindenwood, they're also going to see, man, the concessions, the extra restroom. I mean, it is top-notch, everything that they've done so far.
Yeah, I think they've done it right, and I think we got like 40 restrooms for the females.
Is that unbelievable?
To go from whatever we had to that, because that's always I have to hear about by my wife, so I know they're going to be excited about that. And there's a kind of a new way to watch a game, too. I'm not sure what they would call it. It basically looks like a deck at a bar, kind of the middle area there. That's a really unique viewing and experience, which I think lots of fans are going to really enjoy. I forget what that's called, but
it's going to be like 40, 30-yard line.
Yeah, I think it's maybe 40 to 40.
Okay.
And it's all inclusive, eat and drink, and there's tables, and you can sit there. You got a great view of the game. But it's not in a seat. You're moving around and stuff. So I think the fan base are really going to enjoy that. That's new also.
And that's on your sideline.
Yeah, so we'll switch back over to that side, and so that'll be interesting.
So as you look at this football team, and you are obviously seeing every aspect of it, but just on the outside looking in, you look a lot of returners on defense. 5 of your top 6 on the 2 deep on the defensive line are back. Nassim Caro, the only new face there, but he got a lot of playing time and was a good player last year. You've got experience at linebacker with the addition of Sam Cook from Western Illinois. You've got guys who've taken a lot of snaps in that defensive backfield. You're loaded with returners and talent at the skill positions. Would you say the biggest question mark going in, how will 3 new starters on the offensive line get together with Zach Gigg and Kobe Six-Killer, the 2 returners?
Yeah, totally. O-line is different than, skill position as it is. It takes a little longer, to come together, and 3 of the 5 are going to be new. As I've evaluated them, I don't feel like we're there yet. I think we will have growing pains there, probably 3 or so weeks. But when you look at it, you don't feel like there's going to be a talent issue. It's just building skill, fundamentals, and then playing together, the communication and getting used to each other, and the doubles and the combos and all that stuff, I think will be biggest, hurdle that we got to get over. When you go play a K-State team, that's different. Their front 7 and offensive line, like in the Power 5, is crazy different than ours. When you watch us play, you won't say the skill's much different. In fact, they recruited a player from us in May. And so skill-wise, I wouldn't say we're just totally different. But the O-line and D-line, man, they do a great job. And our O-line, I think, will eventually be there for us. But, we got to help them out. We got returning running back, returning quarterbacks. We got receivers. We got tight ends. So we need those guys to – pick up the slack there that may be the case.
And the guy that they picked off your roster was Tyler Nalone, defensive back. That'll be interesting, going to play your money game against a Power 5, and there's a guy in a K-State uniform that you recruited.
Yeah, he did a good job for us and helped this program a lot, and wanted to change and got what he wanted, which was a Power 5 opportunity, and we – be good to see him and shake his hand.
Okay. So when you start talking about a nationally ranked team, or really a lot of teams, you start with the quarterback. I don't think you do that so much on this team because of who the running back is. It's Geno Hess. He's just a little over 1,000 yards away from becoming the OVC's all-time leading rusher. But to have a guy with that kind of talent, with what he has done, and going into a 6th year, it kind of starts with Geno Hess. Is that a fair statement?
Sure. That guy's done a lot and is a great player and is in good shape. And it feels like he's ready for a great senior year.
And then Paxton DeLaurent, 2nd year at quarterback. What I think is interesting, he put up all these, top 10, single season stats last year, and he didn't play in 2 games. And then when he played against Montana, you could tell he was nowhere close to being 100%. How has that injury rebounded, and how excited are you about Paxton DeLaurent? Because a lot of guys really take a leap from their first year in college ball to year 2.
Yeah, that's kind of the position that's I'm looking forward to just see how it goes. He missed 2 months of that off season, which he really needed development. He was a COVID guy, went to a small college that didn't lift, got here, played, then got hurt, so he missed the off season. And so he did put on, I think, 8 pounds this summer, and he looks a little thicker and a little stronger, but he'll still need to continue to develop that way. He's been inconsistent in the spring and the fall. He's had the wow plays, and he's been Paxton, but he's also turned it over a little bit more than a guy should that's played a lot of football. And so hopefully we get that underhand and get that handled. I think what we got to understand is just take what the defense gives us. Don't assume that our O-line can't do something or whatever, and you start going out trying to do all kinds of things. At the end of the day, take what the defense gives us, take care of the football, and get your playmakers the ball and space, and they'll win the game for us.
And if the play's not there, don't try to force it, throw it away, and live to play another down.
And that's the unique way, because you don't know how to coach him. You remember Iowa State. Like the first half of Iowa State, what did you think?
I thought he was a pretty darn good-looking quarterback.
And he did that a lot with running. Like he would really extend plays. He was very mobile and kind of risky, And so he's got to be able to be mobile, but understand when it's not there, don't take an unnecessary hit, because him staying healthy is a big key to our season. And so he's got to manage that a little bit also.
I noticed, heights and weights, they fluctuate, and how accurate are they? But I did notice that Ryan Flournoy, who clearly is, probably the best wide receiver in the Ohio Valley Conference, put on some muscle in the offseason. It looks like he's up almost 10 pounds.
Yeah, he really is. He had a little knee injury in the spring, into the spring, and then missed some of summer, but man, he looks like a linebacker up top. Like he is yoked up, looking really good. Has had a really good fall camp. We've had as many NFL player or scouts as we've ever had, and we've had those regional scouts too, the true decision makers that came in and evaluate, and they're all here because all of our good players, and they seem to point out Ryan quite a bit.
Lawrence Johnson, I bet, is getting some eyeballs from the NFL, your star defensive back.
Yep, and he was another one that he pulled a hamstring at the end of summer, so he missed 2 weeks of fall camp, and so he's just now kind of hitting his stride.
So it's Ryan Flournoy on one side, and then DeMaurier Vick. You talk about a guy that may be flying under the radar for some. He has been a really good player for you. He's logged a lot of game time at Missouri State. And go back and see how you beat SIU. DeMaurier Vick caught the winning touchdown.
And I think when you see him, I think you'll be surprised. He's really had probably one of the best off seasons. He's gotten a little quicker. He's changed his body a little bit. He just seems more explosive, so it'll be interesting to see how his season goes, because I really feel like Coach Knapp and his staff done a really good job, and Vic, really embraced that he could still get better there, and it looks like he has.
We know the type of athlete that Dalen McDonald is because of what he's done in the return game. He's an all-conference guy, but now he is number one on the depth chart at the third wide receiver position. How about the evolution here of Dalen McDonald as a wide receiver?
Same thing. I think he had a great offseason, man. Just really developed his body. He played quarterback in high school, only played one receiver at junior college 1 year, and so he's really had a great offseason and learned how to run routes and those type of things. So looking forward to him having a breakout year.
And we'll get more into the offense with Coach Jeremy McDowell. He'll join us here in just a little bit. I did mention, though, that 5 of your top 6 on the 2 deep for defensive line are all back. You look big, strong, athletic, and deep on that defensive line.
Yeah, no doubt. A lot of those guys have played a lot of football. We got great leadership there. We got a new coach, a new defensive line coach, and he's done a great job with getting those guys going. And I think they have a chance to be, one of the best front sevens in FCS football.
And obviously at the Mike linebacker position, Bryce Norman is back, and he comes into play as a preseason All-American. They know all about Bryce Norman, the national pundits that cover FCS football.
Yeah, he's always been a great football player since he came out of the womb, and, he's continued to develop himself physically. He's getting a little bit bigger and all those type of things, and I think he'll have another year like he's always had. He's really, really consistent.
And one of the things that you have talked about in the past with Bryce Norman, I want him to be more of a vocal leader, because obviously his play on the field, you can lead by example that way, but how's he embracing that?
Good. He's done a great job. He's developed his circle is pretty small when he first got here. But he's gotten a lot more relationships within the roster, and I think that helps his influence, throughout the roster. So I know it's important to him. I know he's working on it, and we need him to do well.
Sam Cook, the transfer from Western Illinois, he's at the top of the depth chart at linebacker. What can you tell us about Sam Cook? Because I remember when he signed, you were excited about him.
Yeah, one of our, I don't know if it was a weakness, but a void a little bit was just a pass rusher. A guy that can just get home. We can just rush forward, those type of things. And so Coach Kuhn he was a portal guy and recruited him out of Western Illinois, and he's come in and done a great job. I think he's going to add a lot to a already pretty good defense, and so, we have Keandre Booker, who's back, who's all conference, who's a good player, but got tired. Wasn't able to rest him because we didn't have the depth that outside linebacker like we need. And now we feel like we got a true 2 deep there, and so we should be able to keep those guys fresh.
And one thing I noticed about Keandre Booker, number change. He's 0 now.
Yeah. He's 0. Everybody, they get into those numbers things.
They really do. And speaking of Sam Cook, who transferred from Western Illinois, what are your thoughts on WIU joining the Ohio Valley Conference? Now, the schedules were already made up with the Big South OVC Association, so they're going to play one more year in the Missouri Valley, but then they're going to join the OVC. What were your thoughts on the new addition, Western Illinois?
I was glad, it's a regional game where we can play. It makes sense, but who knows what the Valley, Ohio Valley is going to be. Who knows who's going to be in it? I mean, every time you open up the paper,
right,
something changes. So I try not to even think about the OVC.
I was fired up. My hometown is Macomb. I can't wait to go back for the first game at Western Illinois. And then the special teams, Coach, they have always excelled under your guidance here, year number 10. Obviously, we know about Dalen McDonald, kick and punt return.
Yeah.
DC Pippin made some really big kicks for you. We were talking about the kick he made at SIU. You probably don't beat the Salukis. He doesn't kick that first half field goal. And a new punter. So how about special teams?
Well, I think our return game should be good. Obviously our returners are really good. We got good skill playing there. I am concerned about our specialists. DC Pippin has not taken that next step like I thought he would so far. I know he wants to. I know we want him to. We ended up recruiting a transfer to, make sure there's good competition in that room. And so it'll be interesting to just see how that is. We're probably 70% through fall camp on field goals made, which isn't good enough.
Yeah.
So that's a concern. And then punting, obviously Haynes left and hit the portal. In fact, had a great game against New Mexico State. Had several punts inside the 10 and faked a punt. So he had a great opening.
When he was here, he led the OVC in punts inside the 20-yard line.
Yeah, he's a great player. But we thought we'd have him another year, and so we ended up signing a transfer and been inconsistent. So Adam Houston's going to start, and he's been inconsistent. I know he wants to do well. I know our team needs him, and so hopefully we'll make progress there. But that's probably my biggest concern. It's not the O-line. It's really our kicking game, and it's really the specialist. And our jobs as coaches are the other 9 or 10 out there to make sure they're playing at a high level and stuff like that. But we need those specialists to come on for us this year.
One of the other specialists is who is kicking the football off. And at the top of your depth chart, the young man from Jackson, Logan Bruns. He was a touchback machine in high school, but it's 5 yards further back in college. How about Logan Bruns as the kickoff guy, the local kid?
Yeah, he's gotten a lot bigger and stronger. So when you look at him, man, he's really been put together. He's added some distance to his kick, but he's still inconsistent, but if he's on, it's a touchback. I mean, it really is. But there's some mishits and some stuff like that. So it's just kind of like Pippen, it's just the consistency thing.
All right, we're going to talk with Coach Ricky Kuhn, the defensive coordinator here coming up. Kind of cool to have him back. That's a very cool story.
Yeah.
He was here for several years, I think 5 seasons with as a defensive line coach. Then got a head coaching job at Dodge City, and now he's back as a defensive coordinator. You don't see that happen very often, a guy leave to get a head coaching job and then come back.
Totally, and he was a part of the original staff that turned this program around. And
he was here for Stony Brook.
Yep, he was here for beating Jacksonville State at home. That was one of the major turning points in our program. And he obviously had a dream to be a head coach and went and tried that, and it wasn't what he thought it would be. And but how everything worked out, then I had an opening, because those things don't always work out at the same time. And so it just all worked out. And
you had an opening because you fired yourself as the defensive coordinator.
Right. Well, I was going to hire Nate, and that was kind of the plan all along, but then he left to New Mexico State, and then they gave me an opportunity to hire Ricky back.
Good to have him back, and his son will be a Red Hawk next year.
Yeah. So he's got his oldest daughter plays softball at SEMO. I don't know if you knew that.
I did not know that.
So she's a freshman. She'll be a sophomore this year, and so they got some good athletes. They must be from her mom or something. I'm not sure.
Okay, yeah, definitely from the other side there. Yeah, I get to watch Zane on Friday nights calling Jackson football games.
And that's tough, man. I couldn't imagine. I'm a girl dad, and I'm glad, because I think I'd be a terrible dad if I had a son, because his ass would be worked over every day. But if Zane doesn't play here and he plays somewhere else, I don't know that his dad gets to see him. I mean, that's tough.
Yeah.
And just thankful that it all worked out, and he did a good job through the recruiting process of really just letting Zane and SEMO work it all out. Zane, I think, really, really wants to be a Red Hawk, which gets me excited, and so I know he's trying to win a championship and be a great senior, student athlete there at Jackson and all that. But
he had a good game on Friday night.
Yeah, and he graduates in December, so he'll actually be on our campus in January.
Fantastic. Well, we'll talk to Zane Kuhn's dad, Ricky Kuhn, the defensive coordinator, when we come back. Glad you joined us. It's our inaugural Coaches Show. We're at Wings Etc. in Cape. Defensive coordinator Ricky Kuhn on the other side. It's the Coaches Show on SEMO ESPN. etc. in Cape Girardeau. And this reminder, we'll be right back here next Monday at 12 noon after the Red Hawks game at Kansas State. And get you ready for the very first game at the renovated Houck Field. They played a couple of soccer games there so far, but this will be the first football game, and we'll be getting you ready for that next week. Hey, did you know that there are over 70 items on the Wings Etc. menu that are not wings? And that includes their brand new burger lineup, their wraps, salads, and other favorites. And you can now order online. If you would like to pick it up, you can go to the Wings Etc. website, and you can dine in or pick it up. And you can also have it delivered. That's right. They work with DoorDash, and it takes you just a couple of seconds to download the DoorDash app, set up your account, and you can have Wings Etc. delivered right to your doorstep. But better yet, you can come in to Wings Etc., where they just got their NFL Sunday ticket subscription renewed. You'll be able to watch all the big NFL games here on Sundays, Mondays, Thursdays, Saturdays. The NFL plays. They've even got a Friday game, I believe, this year. And then, of course, on Thanksgiving, you can watch every game right here at Wings Etc. The Red Hawks will open the season coming up on Saturday. It'll be a 6 o'clock kickoff, and it will be in Manhattan, Kansas against Kansas State. And the man who will be leading the defense is Ricky Kuhn, the defensive coordinator. How are you, Coach?
I'm doing great. Ready to go.
You know, sometimes you hear coaches talk about nervous energy or anticipation when you get ready for kickoff. How does it hit you? Some guys may get a little nervous. Some guys may not really have that many nerves. How about Ricky Kuhn leading up to kickoff?
I think just excitement more than anything. You know, you do all the work and you hope it all pays off. You know? And so really just excitement more than anything.
So you've got a lot of names and faces back from last year's OVC championship team. That's got to be something that is outstanding for a coach to know, hey, I know what I'm getting out of these particular guys. Yeah,
it is, but like we told them, it's a new year. Everybody we play is going to have some good players too, and so last year doesn't matter. We're 0-0, and we got to go start from scratch again. But it is exciting to have some returning players, and we're excited to go.
And when it starts for any good football team, it's the line of scrimmage. You don't win the line of scrimmage, you do not win football games, and you certainly don't win championships. And on the defensive line, you've got guys who have played a lot of football. All three starters are back.
Yep. It all starts up front. You know, if we're good up front, we have a chance to be good on defense, and we take a lot of pride of that in our program on both sides of the football, being good up front, and really fortunate to have that depth that we do have.
Getting to the quarterback, Coach Tuke just highlighted it. You've got the transfer Sam Cook from Western Illinois. Do you think you'll be able to get to the quarterback more this year? Not that you didn't get there last year. You certainly did. But, Coach, specifically highlighted, hey, we need guys to get to the QB.
When you went back and looked at it statistically, we did get there quite a bit. But there were some opportune times that we needed to get there, and we didn't. And so I think we solved that with some edge guys. Got a little bit more juice coming off the edge, I think. This year. They've really done a good job in fall camp with it. And so definitely think that's going to be a step up for us.
I think back late in that Eastern Kentucky game, if you would have gotten to him a couple of times, you win that football game.
Absolutely. A couple of fourth downs and those things. And so we feel like we've hopefully solved that a little bit.
And surprise, you get to see him again. He's a six-year senior, and we're going to Eastern Kentucky, and they're nationally ranked.
I know it. I was hoping he would hang it up, but he's not. But we got plenty to worry about before that, so one at a time.
How about the linebacking core? Because you see a lot of familiar names there, with the exception of Sam Cook, but Keandre Booker, Bryce Norman, Christian Furman, Mally Walton, and Jacob Morrissey. Those were names we were calling all of last year.
So at inside linebacker, our whole two deep is back. So all four guys that played significantly are back. Outside linebacker is kind of where you're going to see some different faces, and probably needed to. That was probably, if we had a weakness on defense, it was probably outside linebacker, and I think we have upgraded that position, and they've done a nice job so far.
Now, your son obviously plays for Jackson High School. So did Bryce Norman. Obviously, people following his career very closely. What have you seen with the transformation or evolution of Bryce Norman being a guy that was a freshman and ended up leading the team in tackles? Now he's an All-American going into his junior year.
Yeah, just great instincts, and he's had those since he's been here. But he's come along physically a little bit, gained some weight, allowed him to get a little more physical on some things, can still run and do all that. But he's starting to emerge as a little bit probably better leader. As he gets older, he's becoming more comfortable and talking more and doing those kind of things. And so I really think he's come along nicely as an overall player and a leader.
And the defensive secondary, and obviously that is anchored by Lawrence Johnson. He's one of the best safeties in the country. The NFL knows all about Lawrence Johnson. He's the guy that anchors it back there, right?
Yeah, he's our guy that we can put him in a lot of different spots, and he's kind of our Swiss Army knife. He's going to play in the box. He'll play out of the box, put him in man. He's kind of what makes us go.
Touchdown against Montana in the playoffs last year.
Absolutely. So he's added a lot of value in a lot of different positions, and he brings that to some of those other guys. He brings that leadership and experience, and he's done a nice job from obviously since he was younger of becoming more responsible and being a great leader, and he's been great to have.
So he's at one safety, Eric Ivory Jr. At the other safety, and he saw a lot of reps last year.
Yeah.
Eric Ivory as a freshman, now he'll be a sophomore, and now he's at the top of the depth chart.
Yeah, no, he's Eric came in right away, had a skill set. He's smart. That's why he played some as a freshman at safety. He's very smart. He's come along well physically, and we feel good about him stepping into that role.
Boy, when you talk about guys who they may be great athletes, but their football IQ could probably go up a few notches, and that's what you as a coach hope for. So to have a guy with a big football IQ at this stage, just a sophomore, man, that's got to excite you.
Yeah, that's everything. We try not to recruit dumb players per se.
Right.
We want smart kids, and especially in the secondary, and so we have some of those, and he's done a nice job with that, and obviously, hopefully, with the year of experience, he's gotten better.
Henry Pickens III is going to start at one cornerback slot. Tell us a little bit about Pickens.
He's a great kid. He's got what I like about Henry is he's got confidence. When you're a corner, you got to play confident, and you got to have a short memory, and he does that. He's a cover guy. He's a good man guy. But he also has a great spirit, and if he gets beat on a play, he's able to come back from that generally and not let that bother him because, he's just got that confidence and kind of that swagger that you need from a good corner, and so far he's had that.
Psychologically, how tough is it for a guy to flush a play where they got beat? I mean, I know in baseball you bring a closer in, he gives up a game-winning home run. He's going to be right back out there the next day. Got to have confidence in the ability to flush it. How tough is that as an athlete to not think about a play that may have been negative?
I think it's easier said than done. You go out there and Saturday in front of 60,000, and if you get embarrassed on a play, you got to come back the next one and execute. And so it can be really hard. I think what helps is as coaches, you got to support them and teach them and help them through it. But it's very hard.
Is that one of the bigger challenges for defensive backs?
Yeah, it's a big challenge. It's probably the biggest. You got to have a short memory and thick skin because you're out there. Everybody sees you. When you get beat, everybody sees you. You could be a defensive lineman to make a mistake and nobody notices. But if a corner or a safety makes a mistake, everybody notices and the scoreboard changes. And so it's very difficult. And it's hard as a coach too. Sometimes they're lining up to play the next play, and you got to get that last play out of your mind and move on.
So you have had an interesting journey. You were here for 5 years, is that right?
5 years, 14 through 18.
Okay, and you were a part of the team that picked up the school's first ever playoff win in the victory over Stony Brook. Then you went back to your alma mater, Dodge City Community College, to be a head coach, and now you're back here at SEMO. Did you ever think when you left Southeast Missouri State you'd ever be back in part of the coaching team?
Well, you never know. We loved it here. Family loved it here, and obviously love working for Coach Tuke. And so when we left, just was an opportunity, opportunity to be a head football coach. Those aren't easy to get, and
Sure.
was something I wanted to check off of my list, and I had the opportunity to do that, and was just fortunate that everything timed up that we could get back when we wanted to.
Zane, your son, now he's listed. When Coach Eckley was here, there were no heights and weights on rosters. I mean, so nobody knew. But he's listed at 295 on the roster. Is he every bit of 295? And tell us about the recruiting process, because he was being recruited by a lot of schools other than SEMO.
So last season as a junior, he played in about the 260s, and so we really worked to get him heavier. And at one point this summer, he was about 310, and so we had to slim him back down a little bit. He was a little bit too chunky, so we got him down into the 290. So he's a legit 290 to 295, and strong, really, really strong in the weight room. He's almost a 600-pound squatter and those kind of things. So he's got a lot of power to him, moves very well. They've done a nice job at Jackson at developing him physically and mentally, so we've been happy with that. Recruiting-wise, it all kind of went fast in the spring. He went from kind of some interest here and there to all of a sudden I've got 8 Division I offers and a bunch of D2s and different things. And he and I went on some trips this summer. We took a week and went to 4 or 5 different places, FBS, FCS, and some different places. And to be honest, I kind of tried to talk him out of it, tried to talk him into going away, because sometimes that's good for a young man to grow. He needs to be away from home. At the end of the day, he wanted to be a Red Hawk and made that decision.
So it didn't disappoint Dad then that he became a Red Hawk?
I think I didn't realize until he made that decision how awesome it was. I just didn't want him to feel like obligated to do that because of me or whatever. And so after he made that decision and I heard the reasons that he was making that decision, I think after it was all over, you kind of took a breath of fresh air and said, this is pretty awesome, because now I was worried about I'll never get to see a game. Well, now I'll never miss a practice. So it's pretty awesome.
That is pretty cool. All right, Coach, on Saturday, what are going to be the keys to trying to slow down this really good Kansas State offense?
We just got to be good fundamentally. They play with tempo. They want to run the football. We've got to be physical. We've got to execute fast and violent, and everything will be okay.
All right, it's 6 o'clock on Saturday. We talk defense. We're going to talk offense. Former SEMO quarterback and offensive coordinator Jeremy McDowell is here. We'll talk with him when we come back. Coach, thanks so much for your time.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
All right. Defensive coordinator Ricky Kuhn will be joined by Jeremy McDowell after this timeout. It's the Red Hawks Coaches Show live from Wings Etc. on Live from Wings Etc. And Wings Etc. will be hosting the Coaches Show once again all season, football, basketball, and into the spring. We'll be here in Cape Girardeau. We'll be at the Jackson location, and we've got a show scheduled for Dexter as well. If you didn't know, that's their newest location in Dexter. And did you know that you can get the delicious menu here at Wings Etc. delivered right to your front door or wherever you are just by using the DoorDash app? It is Wings Etc. Good food and great times. Let's talk it over with the Red Hawks offensive coordinator, Jeremy McDowell. How are things, Coach?
Things are well. Just really looking forward to putting in a good week this week of practice, and obviously the opportunity Saturday. Everyone's excited and just ready to get out there and go against someone other than our defense. So I think everyone's ready to go.
What is different from how you feel as a starting quarterback, which you were at SEMO, in anticipation of the opening kickoff versus being a coach in anticipation of the opening kickoff? Is it different?
Obviously there's some things that are different, but mainly it's really kind of the same. You're just trying to go through your different reminders and the different checks and the different things that you prepared for the week, or in this case the couple weeks. But the one good thing about being the quarterback, though, is that you get a chance to actually make the decision and execute the play and get your hands on the ball, which is fun. But no, there's definitely some similarities there.
How about health? How healthy are you on that side of the football?
We're pretty healthy. Through camp, we were banged up here and there. Nothing serious up and down. But, in the last couple of weeks, we've gotten guys back and started to really, put our foot on the gas pedal a little bit and started to do some good things consistently. And so we're at a good place, and we're just trying to put the final touches on it this week and feel good about going in Saturday and give ourselves the best chance possible.
I'm not sure I've seen a SEMO quarterback who battled more injuries during their career than you did. Paxton DeLaurent had to battle one last year. Tell us about how he has come back, and does that help to have an offensive coordinator that said, hey, man, I had to go through the same thing when I was playing quarterback?
We don't talk too much about me as far as playing or did play or has been.
Okay.
But he went through that, with his injury in the off season. So he took those couple months off, and now he's feeling 100%. But it also just showed, I think, whether himself or his coaches, but his teammates there, at the end of the season, just his toughness, his willing to be out there and fight through it and keep getting up or keep limping, keep playing, whatever you want to say there. And so I think it showed a lot. And so we're excited that he's our guy, and it is our job to help try to keep him healthy now. So he's ready to go, and he's feeling good.
How much respect do you earn if you're a DeLaurent and you go out there and you can tell you're not 100% and you play that game against Montana and probably had the Grizzlies beat, but he played a very good game against Montana? How much respect do you get in the locker room for toughing it out in a game like that?
Yeah, I think a lot. I mean, that's the first thing I thought of when you asked the previous question. There's some times through practices, where you just a typical quarterback situation. You're like, he's not getting hit, and how's he going to handle this? How's he going to handle that? But being able to do it on a big stage and on Saturdays, it gives some relief from the coaching staff that he can fight through things. And then, like you said, just the teammates, the respect, the belief, all those things that come in with that. So I think he definitely, earned some respect that week in particular. And I think those guys that are returning from last year's team believe in him and look forward that he's our leader.
You've coached some really good running backs here. Marquez Terry was an All-American. Now it's Geno Hess, who's probably going to be the all-time leading rusher in the history of the conference. How excited are you for a guy like Geno Hess for one more run at it here?
Big picture-wise, I'm really excited. He's a knucklehead, so day in, day out, he definitely he gives us challenges, and he would say the same. But most of the time we're at a place where we can laugh about that after the fact. But obviously very talented running back, and, again, just experienced and we know what we have in him, so it definitely helps from my perspective as the play caller, knowing what he's comfortable with and what he can do, and in those type of situations you put those guys in. So having those answers before we even start is helpful for game one.
I don't think he had ever caught a touchdown in his career until last year. Is he a guy that's taken a step forward in the passing game? Is there a way that you can get him involved in the passing game? Do you trust him in the passing game?
There are ways that we can get him involved more, and I think there's a potential for that. Do I trust him more with that? I think that's a day-by-day process, and he works at it, and he wants to, and we want him to be better in those scenarios. But he's definitely come a long way with his hands and catching and receiving abilities. The one thing that we really challenged him on is what is he going to do when the ball's not in his hands? Pass pro, those type of things. And he really has gotten a lot better at that, and I think that's what the scouts and different things want to see as well. So I'm excited for him to kind of be the full package. And, we know he's a great runner, but if he can get these other areas of his game up to, the same level as that, then he's really special, and he's already pretty special. So,
offensive coordinator Jeremy McDowell joining us here on the Red Hawks Coaches Show. So you've got Ryan Flournoy back. Coach Tuke was saying he's even stronger, bigger and stronger than he was last year. He's already strong at the point of, high pointing of football. I mean, at the catch point, I mean, he's a strong guy. Is he even stronger now? I think the perfect example was the catch he made at Iowa State. We've seen that highlight 100 times. Yeah,
I mean, he's always just been so exceptional with the things you described. And so is he better? Maybe a little bit. I don't. It's such an elite level. And we've haven't pushed him, early in camp and different things, as much as we have as of late. And so I'm really excited to see him in those situations where, he's got to go make some plays. And there just hasn't been a ton of those in practice. And so I'm looking forward for him just to go make those plays and obviously help us achieve the mission and win games and do all those fun things.
Well, in terms of recruiting a guy, it's one thing to see him at Iowa Western Community College and see, well, I think he'll be an impact player with us at Division I, and then to see it come to fruition. Is he better than you thought he was going to be, or did you think he was going to be this guy?
He's better than we thought. I mean, we knew that he was good, obviously. He did some great things at Iowa Western, but credit really Coach Drudick doing a great job in recruiting him, as well as some other coaches. But, man, he's just – what I really love about Ryan is that he's, probably as hard a worker as anyone on the team, and he doesn't say a lot, But when he does speak, people listen. And that takes a special leader, a special person, and so I'm glad he's on our team.
Boy, and then DeMaurier Vick, just a tremendous compliment to Ryan Flournoy. If you're talking about wide receiver 1 and 1A with these two guys, Vick and Flournoy.
Yeah, DeMaurier, he's such a great route runner, and he's got all those, receiver. The skill set, with route running and just understanding the game, and so he really brings a different element there, and it's a great 1-2 there, and he should have a great year, and he had a great year last year, but I know he wants to be more involved, and we want him to as well, and so I'm looking forward to seeing all his hard work pay off. He's had a great off season. I know Coach Tuke mentioned that, but. I'm hoping that it really pays off for us and him.
And with Johnny King last year, I mean, there just wasn't enough footballs to go around to get Dalen McDonald a whole lot of reps at wide receiver. But now, Johnny King's in the NFL. He's in an NFL camp. And now Dalen McDonald gets his chance. Tell us a little bit about him.
Yeah, I'm excited for Dalen. He's still a little bit inexperienced from the receiver standpoint, being a quarterback through high school and a year at junior college. But he continues to get better day by day with that experience, and he has some top end playmaking abilities, being the punt returner, kick returner. So trying to get the ball in his hands and letting him do what he naturally does will help our offense, and again just really complement those other two receivers and our offense. And so it's just a big piece of what we're going to be able to do moving forward offensively, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do.
And the guy who I think may have the best name on the team is going to play some wide receiver. We saw him a little bit last year, Jack Clinkenbeard. Tell us about Jack Clinkenbeard.
Yeah, we call him Clink, but he's crafty. We keep trying to out-recruit him, and he just doesn't let that happen. He's a tough kid, runs great routes, and he's just always kind of in the right place at the right time, and that doesn't accidentally happen. So, I look forward to him getting some more opportunities, and again, just another guy that you love seeing hard work pay off for young men, and that's just another example.
It seemed like, I'd have to look at the numbers, it seemed like the tight end was a little more involved in the passing game for the Red Hawks last year. Will Weideman, obviously a big target. Now it's going to be Danny Joyner in his sophomore season, started his career at Army. He's here now. Is he a guy that can be a pass catcher in this offense?
Yeah, Danny, he can do a lot of different things. He's a well-rounded tight end. He's pretty nasty and physical at the point of attack, blocking-wise. But like you said, in the pass game, he's starting to run routes really well and make some tough catches. He had a little time there through fall camp that he wasn't making those tough catches, and now he's coming on. So we kind of challenged him there. But Coach Cook's doing a great job with those tight ends, that whole room. And Braden Thompson's another one that played a little bit last year as a true freshman that continues to grow. And then we had to transfer Mitch Sellers that I think that can really help us. That tight end room is as good as we've had since I've been here, and I look forward to seeing what they can do. But they're a big part of who we are and what we're going to be able to do, hopefully.
And we still remember who scored the game-winning touchdown a couple of years back against SIU. It was a tight end, Austin Crump, who walked it off for the Red Hawks. All right, the only two guys back on the offensive line, but it's nice to have the Remington Award winner, the top center in the country, in Zach Gigg. Kobe Six Killer, obviously a veteran, but you've got three new starting offensive linemen. How nervous does an offensive coordinator get when you've got that much turnover? But I know Coach likes the talent for these guys.
Well, you never question their work ethic, how well they're being coached. Coach Orchard does a great job with those guys. I don't know if nervous is the term, but we've got to do a good job as a coaching staff of trying to put our guys in as a good situation as possible, not asking them to do too much, which there's kind of a fine line there, in football games where you got to kind of do some things that's a little bit hairy, the high risk, high reward things versus, you got to kind of try to protect them. So, that's our job this week or, with the game plan. And I'm sure there's going to be some lumps in there, but I'm excited that, those guys are who they are and all the work they put in. And I think at the end of the day, once we get going in the season, I really believe that they will be where we want them to be. It just obviously just a matter of time. Like how fast is that going to happen, and will it be week one? I don't know, but they're going to work hard, and our expectations are high for them, and so we're going to get there quick. It's just how fast.
The offensive line coach, Lucas Orchard, who was a terrific center for the Red Hawks, and he had a nasty streak in him when he was a player, and a guy that would play to the very outskirts of the echo of the whistle. And could you tell when he was a player that he was going to be a good coach? Did you ever think, I think Lucas Orchard is going to be a football coach?
Yeah, I thought he could be a good coach. He's pretty fiery / emotional / fill in the blank there. So sometimes I was a little bit not 100% sure, but boy, he's a good coach. And those guys really feed off of him. They really have taken on the identity of him and how he coaches and what he expects from those guys. And so they do kind of, or at least last year's group have played with an edge. Again, with 3 new starters, we expect those guys to play with an edge and get their job done. And I believe they will. And, Coach Orchard's doing a great job.
It's a really good defense that you're going to see on Saturday. It's weird. They've got is it 2 linebackers and then they go with a nickel? I mean, their defensive, the linebacker and secondary appears to be a little unusual. Am I reading that right? I'm just going off a depth chart.
Yeah, it's a little bit unique. That type of defense is starting to become a little bit more popular with college football. Iowa State ran somewhat like that last year, so they kind of base out of a 3 safety look. So you have 5 DBs on the field, and then 2 to 3 linebackers, depending on the situations and stuff. So, as offensive coaches, we have to, adjust to that clearly for this week. But really, overall, it's just starting to become more popular, like I mentioned. So it's a different game plan and preparing than the usual or traditional type of defenses. So
if you were playing an FCS school with 3 new offensive linemen, might you call a different game than you're going to call against a Kansas State on Saturday?
I mean, possibly. It kind of goes back, like I mentioned, with the O-line group that, we've got to do our job as a staff to try to put those guys in a position that they can be successful, and asking them to do too much versus, Kansas State on week 1. It's that borderline, like how much do you ask them to do that, right? And then expect them to be successful every time. I just don't know if you can do that. But, their defense obviously is top notch. And they had a couple guys that went high in the draft, and I'm glad those guys are gone when I see them on film for sure. But they've got guys that obviously are great football players, and they're going to be as tough a defense as I've seen since I've been here for sure. And they're just good.
So I know your son was at the Babe Ruth World Series at Capitol Hall Park a few days. He was a foul ball machine. You exchange those foul balls for popsicles, so that's the incentive for the kids. Is he a football guy? Is he a baseball guy? What is he a sports guy?
Yeah, but you're talking about my youngest one, Crew. Yeah, he's a little bit of everything. He is definitely a sports guy. He plays everything from baseball to flag football to soccer to basketball. He just loves it all. And he really talked a lot about that a couple of days at the Baseball World Series, of getting a bunch of popsicles, and he got a black eye because he dove for one. He wanted a 6 popsicle, I guess, and collided with another kid. So a black eye and 5 popsicles, not a bad day. So
you were there for the championship game. How cool was that crowd? I mean, wasn't that an awesome atmosphere?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. A lot of baseball fans. I'm just a sports fan, and I know there's local baseball folks here that, was very proud of that event and that week, and put a lot of time and effort into it. So I was happy for those guys to kind of be rewarded, I guess you'd say, with how the week went for that whole thing.
SEMO was the first FCS school in the country to get field turf back in the day in 2000. So that makes you one of the first FCS quarterbacks that ever played on turf, and it was brand new back then. You got new turf now. How far has it come, the turf technology from when we got it installed in 2000 to where it is in 2023?
I guess I'm sure we've come a long ways technology-wise. It's similar to me. It's soft and it's hot. We were out there the other day. It was cooking pretty good. So we are very thankful, though, of that whole project and all the effort and obviously the money and different things that people are putting into athletics here at SEMO. So as a staff and players and different things, boy, we couldn't be more grateful. And we're just hoping that we can show up and do our part and play well and represent this school, this university, this community as best we can.
Can't wait. It's going to be fun at 6 o'clock on Saturday, Manhattan, Kansas, nationally ranked Kansas State. We'll see you then, Coach. Thanks so much for your time. Best of luck on a successful and healthy football season on the offensive side of the ball.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. That's Jeremy McDowell. Thanks to Coach Ricky Kuhn, Coach Tom Matukowicz as well, the Redhawks. And again, the Redhawks can be heard on our sister station, Real Rock 99.3 FM, online at realrock993.com, and you can download the free Real Rock 99.3 app to listen to the Redhawks. So thanks to Mike Rennick and Rachel Cook for all of their help here on site, and we'll get you back to regular programming here on SEMO ESPN. So long, everybody, from the Redhawks Coaches Show at Wings.